My name is Helen Goldenberg. I live here at AIDS Services of Dallas, and I have lived here for 7 years. And thanks to AIDS Services of Dallas, my life is saved. I thought I would die. I found out I had this disease, and it was difficult for me. I wanted to crawl in a hole, dig a hole, crawl in there, because there was so much ugliness associated in my mind with this disease. But this organization saved my life because there was a person who said, come.
So that's how you became to know of AIDS Services of Dallas? You were approached by someone?
Yes. Her name was Judith Powell. And she used to be the residential coordinator. And I came here one day. I said, I can't live here. Everybody has AIDS. And I had these fixed ideas. I was not educated properly. And I was told, October 5th, 1987, wow, you have full-blown AIDS. So it was a big non-confront for me.
Correct.
Tomorrow I'll be 62. So
wow,
that's a lot of years.
That's amazing. That's wonderful. Congratulations.
Thank you. But when I found out I had this disease, and I had no other selection because I have grandbabies, this is the only organization I know that helps families stay together. Because I was called by the police one time,
right, and
they said to me, you have a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old in my custody. Your daughter's going to jail. If you can get here in 30 minutes, you can have these kids. So I had no other selection but to take the kids.
What was your state before you received that call? What was your life like before you got that call that propelled you to go and say, I need to get my grandbabies?
Well, I was agoraphobic, actually, because I had a big non-confront about having this disease, and I had some other physical manifestations, like I was born with arthritis. It's called juvenile arthritis, and I was in a wheelchair, and I was in had a hospital bed, and so I thought it was easier to stay on the couch, right, because my brother had died from something called temporal arteritis, and I thought, well, you're also going to get an aneurysm and die. So I had all of these things and much confusion, and so it was just simpler for me to stay home. But when the police said, your kids are going in, your grandbabies are going into the system, I had no other selection but to pick up my one foot ahead of the other and start to be proactive in managing my health. And AIDS Services of Dallas has created an atmosphere where I can not only be proactive, but there was such networking that transportation was there if you needed this service.
Because really and truly, that's a part of it. When you say, Helen, is the fact that when you're affected by HIV and AIDS, that it's really and truly, or any illness, that it's really and truly a whole life that you're dealing with, not just the illness itself. There are many other aspects, like needing to get, like you said, transportation, A to B,
right,
employment, things of that nature that help add to your whole life value.
I didn't have a life because it was just about getting through this day to the next day. And then I was able not only to create a life, but to have a family and have a wholesome life and have healthy kids, sane children. Right. We're in church. I was able to grow with my spiritual goals. I was able to grow in education. I found myself one day standing in front of 300 people in my church because my pastor requested me to stand there and say, my name is Helen Goldenberg and I have full-blown AIDS, at a youth Sunday, so that children know that this disease is something that they can be educated to reduce risk so they don't get this disease.
A question I would want to ask for you and see if you could address for us would be like, a lot of times there's the stereotype of who it is that is the face of AIDS. Usually it's going to be, gay men. As an African American, heterosexual female, how do you feel about, what would you say to those people that are out there that are maybe not?
Well, you can forget all the stereotypes, because it crosses all barriers. I used to be assistant vice president, statewide head of operations at Bank of America in San Francisco. And I said this couldn't happen to me. Now, I had employees who had this disease, but they were homosexual. I said, that's why they have the disease, and I found out this could happen anywhere.
Exactly.
To anyone. Whether you're heterosexual, whether you're gay, and we're all people, and God loves all his people. And so, AIDS Services of Dallas, if you're homeless, you're in need, you have this disease, they're here for you.
What do you feel, or what would you want for people to know that are unaware of AIDS Services of Dallas? What would you want them to know about this organization that may not be maybe in the materials that they provide? I mean, what kinds of things go on here? What kind of
well, aside from the fact that monetarily you're assisted, you're also assisted spiritually. And something else that I think, from a faith-based perspective, I think so vital is the fact that it is a community. And when you have a community and you live with people who you have commonality,
right?
We have all this disease, you can help each other.
And it makes it kind of like a family, wouldn't you say?
That is a family.
Because a lot of times I know that there are people that come from places where they don't have families and they don't have resources. And I think that was one of the great things when Marianne and I got to take a tour of AIDS Services Dallas, that we did notice that there is this sense of family. And another thing that we noticed was the sense of empowerment that being at AIDS Services of Dallas gives the residents and clients, even through their their government program that they have,
right,
like almost like a student council form of government that they have. I think that it's an amazing thing. What else would you like for people to know about either yourself, HIV/AIDS, or AIDS Services of Dallas, Helen?
Well, basically, if you get this disease, you have to first decide that you're going to be proactive in managing your health. And then you need to research and be a part of getting better, of deciding you're going to live each day and do the best that you can, and seek out organizations like AIDS Services of Dallas. Because number one, there's no other organization that can put you in a position so that you're empowered to do more. Some people come here and they're lost, as I was.
Right.
The next thing you know, I volunteer at my church. We started an AIDS ministry at my church. I speak at different youth groups, and there was a time when I wouldn't do such. But AIDS Services of Dallas, you have it's such a regimen, and it's a strict regimen, but I think necessary because
right,
you have so many types of people who live here. There's a government where there's meetings you have every other week. Our tenants are required to attend,
right,
and you can put out in the pot all kinds of things that could help you and help others. And sometimes if you've had that experience, and I can learn from that experience.
Exactly, sharing your stories.
Yes, right, and then they sponsor different educational things. Like I just recently did a program called Willow, Women in Life, Learning from Other Women. And they invite to that different case managers from all kinds of organizations, send to that people who just recently got diagnosed, because they are the ones who need help so much. And they make sure they have peer educators, which I consider myself.
I think that's really and truly an important factor, to have somebody of your, like you say, like a peer, that is either familiar with the information that you can talk with, because I think the mindset that you take with this disease and with this illness can really and truly transform the experience that you have.